Hi, it's Eva Pohler here, live in the Polar Bear Lounge. I'm a little early, so I'm hoping to wait another minute so more of you can join us. Today I am talking about how to start an online book club, which I think is a perfect topic right now since so many of us are stuck at home. And online book clubs are also something that can benefit many of us even outside of a world pandemic because many of us readers tend to be a little on the introverted side. And so having an online book club is something that you can continue to do even once hopefully a vaccine or something allows us to go back to living the life, that we knew. So I hope that some of you are here. It looks like I have a couple of people joining me. Hi, give me a little like or thumbs up or a heart or something to let me know that you're here with me. I'm really excited to share these 10 easy steps for how to start your own online book club. And I want to mention that not next week, but the next for Tuesday Tea, I'm going to have a book club in the Polar Bear Lounge. And the book will be the Marcella 2, which is my newest release. Many of you have already read and reviewed, and I'm really appreciative of that. But if there's others of you that haven't got a copy, I'm going to have a Google form sign up link for you. And I will give a complimentary ebook copy to anyone who hasn't already purchased one who would like to participate in our book club 2 weeks from today on the Marcella 2. And I'll have a post with more information about it, but I hope you'll be able to join and we'll discuss the book and this is a good thing for me to kind of get some feedback on what you think about the book as I am writing the second book, which is Pirate Academy. And so I want to get some really great feedback from you guys. Oh, hi, I'm so glad you're here. Rachel, hi. Sammy, and let's see who else is here. Bridget, yay, I'm so happy to see you. Thank you so much for joining me live as I talk about 10 easy steps for starting your own online book club. And I'm also going to be mentioning how you can sign up to be in my book club on the Marcella 2 weeks from now. And this is a book club that will continue to read other books. I want to go through the entire Mystery House series. So if any of you are interested in that, I know I have some that are more young adult fantasy lovers in here, and then I have others that are more mystery lovers, and then I have a really big group of you that cross over and read everything, which is great. So we're going to do the Marcella 2 first, but then shortly after that, we'll do a book club where we focus on each book of the Mystery House series, and it'll be the same deal. If you don't already own your own copy, you can sign up to get a free e-copy. And my hope is that you'll join the book club to discuss the book, give me feedback, and also be willing to leave an honest review at a few different platforms. And I'll have review templates that you can use to make that process easy for you. So anyway, let me go ahead and get started now telling you about the 10 easy steps for starting your own online book club. And this comes from my own personal experience. For years, I organized and hosted a book club here in my neighborhood. And I think it went on for 6 or 7 years, and it was one of the highlights of my life. And this is when my children were little, so getting together with friends and having some adult time to talk about books, it was just, I loved it. And everybody would bring a dish, and we'd usually have the food would somehow be around a theme. Like if the book was taking place in England, we'd do, shepherd's pie and, I don't know, fish and chips or, something related to England. We always tried to find some kind of theme to make it a little fun. But, life got in the way. People got new jobs. They had to move away, new responsibilities. And eventually the club just dwindled down. And I tried a few different times to revive it, but I never was able to until I started having just these periodic online book club meetings with them. And this was great because they could be anywhere. They didn't have to be local. So some of the friends that had to move away could still join, and we could have this online discussion. And we don't do it regularly, but it would be fun if you could do it every month with your club. But anyway, let me tell you these 10 tips for getting started. And number 1 is to choose a platform. There are 3 great platforms that you can choose from: Google Meet, Zoom, and now Facebook has Facebook Rooms. These are all three very great platforms to use for hosting a meeting because they all allow a split screen grid so that everybody can see everybody else and interact with one another. And we're going to be using Facebook Rooms when I do my book club here in the group in the Polar Bear Lounge. This Google Meet and Zoom can accommodate up to 100 people, and Facebook can accommodate up to 50 people. So, no problem bringing in a bunch of groups. And all three platforms also allow the host to record the meeting. And you can even, if you'd like to kind of like check each platform out, you can set up a private meeting for just you. And you can just see what all the bells and whistles are like on each of the three platforms and then decide which one you like the best. I haven't even tried Google Meet, to be honest, but I love Zoom and Facebook Rooms. I've used them both. They're both pretty compatible. And so, I just recommend giving them a try. Whichever platform you choose, you might also want to create a Facebook group, a private group where people can communicate in between meetings. And that's what I've done with my book club. It's nice to say, like, how far are you? It kind of encourages people to kind of touch base in between meetings, like, are you enjoying the book? How far along are you? And sometimes people will say, oh my gosh, I haven't even started yet. And it allows us to say, well, maybe we should have the meeting, and give everybody another week to finish. And so it depends on how flexible you want to be. But having a Facebook group allows for that kind of interaction in between meetings. Number 2 is to establish parameters. Before you even invite potential members to join your online book club, you need to decide, like, if you're going to stick with a particular genre, such as literary fiction or historical romance or urban fantasy, just mysteries, just young adult, just paranormal romance, or if you're going to do a mix of genres. And you should also set up guidelines for the group, letting them know how often you'll meet and for how long. Will the meeting be an hour, 2 hours, just however long you want to go? And whether those meeting times will be fixed. Will you always be meeting on the first Saturday of every month at 2 p.m. no matter what? Or will you have a vote every month to see when people are available? Let them know ahead of time what those kind of guidelines are going to be. And also, will you be choosing the book, or will you invite members to make suggestions and then everybody will vote on it? How will that work? And also choose whether your book club meetings will be private to members only, or if they're going to be open and visible to anyone. And depending on the platform you use, you can do that. So that's number 1 and 2. Choose your platform, establish parameters. And number 3 is to select an accessible book. Even if you decide that you want to allow other people to choose books or recommend them and vote on them, for the very first book, you should choose it. Just so you can make sure that you're setting the right tone for the group. You want to draw readers in that have similar tastes as you. You don't want to run a book club where you're reading books that you're not really interested in. So by choosing the first book, it kind of lets people know whether or not they want to join, because it kind of sets the tone for the group. And you also want to make sure that that book is inclusive and accessible, and also available in a number of different formats, such as print, ebook, audiobook. Especially, I know here we're going to be doing the Marcella 2 in a couple of weeks, and it's not yet available in audiobook, though it will be. But usually, if you can have it available there, that will help with people who might have, problems with their eyes, so that they will still be able to be included. And some people don't want to read on a screen. They need a paperback, so choose a book that's available in that format, and you'll get more members involved. So number 4 is don't cap your membership. In my experience, only half of the members of a book club make it to any given meeting. And so it's better to have a large group. And as a host, you might feel nervous about this. You might not want, a group of 20 or 30 people, because that might seem like too many to handle. But if you don't, you'll only have a couple of people, maybe 1 or 2 there, maybe even none able to come to the meeting. And so it'll eventually dissolve. So it's better to have too many than not enough. And once you establish the parameters for your group, you can use social media to invite friends and ask them to invite friends, and really spread the word and get the word out so you can get more people to join. And you're likely to have turnover. It happened in our group too, where life would happen and they'd have to drop out. So you want to make sure you keep your membership open so that people can join at any given time, and you can always have a healthy number of people in the group. So number 5 is to record the meeting. Now, you're going to want to let people know that you're doing this. But I recommend that you record it so that people who can't attend can later watch the replay, and so they feel like they're still part of the group. Because if people are unable to attend, like several times in a row, they might start to feel like they're not connected to you. But if there's a recording available, and you can even say, let's in your Facebook group, you can even have like a watch night where people who weren't able to attend can get together for like a second meeting and watch the replay together, and still be able to feel like they're part of the group. And you can decide whether you want to make that recording private. All three platforms allow for you to share a private link that only people with that link can see. Or you can decide if you want to like put it up on YouTube and make it available to everybody. But whichever way you go, just make sure you let the members in your group know if it's going to be private or if it's going to be public. But record it either way. That will help, I think, keep your membership healthy. And number 6 is to ask members to prepare. Now, you don't want to make them feel like they have homework, like this is, a job, a chore, or an obligation. This isn't meant to be fun, but just an easy preparation. I'll ask them to just come up with one open-ended question to ask the rest of the group about the book. And by open-ended, I mean not a yes-no question. You don't want to say, hey, did you like the book? Yes. Hey, did you like the book? No. You want to ask a question that stimulates discussion. And so an example that you could give them when you're setting up the club is instead of asking if readers liked the main character, you can ask them to list what they like and didn't like about a character. And that's an example of a question that's more open-ended. And then in addition to asking your members to each come up with a question, you as the host should also prepare your own discussion questions, but be flexible. I always would come up with about 10 that I'd have to ask, and I rarely got through 4 because everybody else would have questions. Our discussion would veer off on things that aren't even related to the book, and that's all okay. The book club is meant just to be a place where a community of book lovers can come together and connect. So if you end up spending half the time talking about other things in the book, that's all right, especially if the book is inspiring these discussions about life and, whatever else is going on with everybody. And if you're just catching up with each other's lives, that's all okay. But have those questions ready so you can, every once in a while, steer the group back to the book. And so that if there are lulls in the conversation, you can, stimulate more discussion. And by having those questions on hand, you can do that. You want to make sure that you don't view yourself as like this teacher or this professor that's like controlling the group and, dominating the discussion. Instead, as the host, you should see yourself as a facilitator of discussion, somebody who is sort of, trying to keep it going rather than trying to dominate and control it. So that's number 7. Number 8 is that you should still moderate the discussion. So even though you shouldn't see yourself as this teacher or this professor, you still want to somewhat moderate the discussion because there's always going to be at least one chatty Cathy among the group. I'm usually that chatty Cathy, and you might be that chatty Cathy too. So sometimes it's hard to rein yourself back and let other people have a chance to talk. Maybe you're not that. Maybe you're the quiet Susie over in the corner that hardly ever gets a word in. But regardless, most chatty Cathys don't mean to be dominating like that. They just are bubbly people who have a lot to say, and maybe they're uncomfortable with silence. Who knows? So every once in a while, and this is the hardest job, you might have to say something. You might need to step in and say, thank you, Cathy, for that very interesting idea. Does anyone else have anything to add to that or want to say something different, Just so that the people in the group don't, kind of like not look forward to coming because it's all going to be about listening to chatty Cathy the whole time. Your group could be sabotaged by this one dominator. And one way to avoid that is just at the beginning of each meeting, just to remind everybody, now this is a discussion, and I know there are some people who have more to say than others, but we want to be careful that we give everybody an opportunity to talk and that we never dominate the discussion, okay? So that right there can be enough to kind of keep that Chatty Cathy in check. Another thing you can do is just message her or reach out to her outside of the group and say, hey, I love what you have to say in the group. I just feel like not everybody else is getting a chance to talk. So I'm wondering if before you have something to say, if you could just maybe count to 10 or 20 or let somebody else speak first before you jump in. And this is another tip too. There are some people like me who say things as they're thinking of them. They're composing and talking at the same time. But there are other people who compose their thoughts in their brain first and then they speak them. And so whenever you ask a question, before you say, hey, call on somebody, and sometimes people just jump in, so you don't even get to call on them. But when you ask the Chatty Cathy, hold on, let's see if someone else has something to say, do count to 10 to yourself. Because there's somebody else that has something to say. It's just, they have to think of it. And because they don't feel confident just spitting out whatever comes to their head while it's being, coming to their head. So that's another tip right there. So that's the first 8. And now number 9 is to consider a theme. I mentioned at the beginning that my book club used to create dishes around a certain theme. And every once in a while, we'd even dress in costume. So you can add a lot of fun online by doing the same thing. Like if your book is set in England, maybe decide you're going to have a tea party and everybody drink their favorite tea and maybe share, what's your favorite tea? Mine's orange spice, and kind of go around the group. Or maybe you're reading a book that is like a cozy mystery that's all about knitting. And so if there might be knitters or other crafters of some kind in your group, so you could have a little thing at first where everybody kind of shows pictures of or just holds up things that they've made. Or if it's around a bakery, people could bake and show off what they've made and everybody can like pig out together while you're having the meeting. And then, as I mentioned, costumes, like maybe you're reading something paranormal and so you could wear your favorite vampire or werewolf or fairy or what have you costume, Themes make things more fun. And then last but not least, number 10 is invite the author. Not every author will be available or willing to come to your book club, but you might be surprised how many would love the opportunity to answer questions about their book. And I'm one of those people, hint, hint. So before you choose a book, you might even reach out to authors to see if anybody would be available to come to your club, and then choose the book based on if that author is available. You might not want to expect the author, like if you have a 2-hour book club meeting, might not want to expect the author to have to hang out that whole 2 hours. Maybe just give that author a time to come into the meeting for a 15-20 minute Q&A. And every author's different. Some might want to be there the whole 2 hours and, just love hearing what you all have to say. And others might have busier schedules or might be more introverted and shy and won't feel comfortable talking for that long and may just want that 15-20 minute Q&A. So, just be flexible. But think about inviting authors to your book club, and that also might encourage more people to participate in your book club if they know they're going to have an opportunity to talk to the author. And another thing you can do for that author is allow her or him, a minute or two to mention their newest release, in exchange for them coming, just give them the opportunity to promote what's coming up next. So those are my top 10. Just to summarize, you want to make sure that you choose your platform, establish parameters, select an accessible first book, don't cap your membership, record the meeting, ask members to prepare discussion questions but be flexible, moderate the discussion, consider a theme, and invite the author. And in my Facebook group, which you are all here now, the Polar Bear Lounge, I continue to offer tips to readers, about how to enrich your reading life. And the book club is just another one of those examples. And so we're going to start that in 2 weeks. Next week, I'm going to talk about literary criticism and analysis. I actually taught it for over 20 years. I still teach it part-time at a university here in San Antonio. I have a passion for literary analysis, and it's not as hard as it sounds. Some of you might think, what? I don't want to listen to that. But I have some great tips for how you can get more out of the books that you're reading. Go a little deeper dive into them, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on next week with Tuesday Tea. So thank you all for coming. I'm so thrilled that you're here with me today, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to reading your comments further down below. So Have a good one, and I'll see you later. Oh, I forgot to say, I am spending the day today in Gina Moran's group, and at the end of this video, I'm going to put a link where you can ask for membership into her paranormal mates and matches, or matches and mates group. And I have giveaways going on in that group that are going to be open until probably like 10 p.m. tonight. So I'll have a link to her group where you can request membership if you would like to join. So anyway, that's it. Have a good one. Bye.